Let's talk a little bit about compounding wins. Now, you've often heard me talk about consistency compounds. When consistency compounds, you get a good life. Now, as you begin to go through Capital Club and as you begin to get excited with what we're building, many times people want to rush. They want to accelerate the journey, but they don't understand that the journey is lifelong, right? There is no end goal. There is no end destination. You are in this journey from the moment you were born until you die. So today is just another brick that you're laying to build your ideal house. Now, most people want to build the entire house in one day because they don't understand the principle of compounding. How if you do the right thing every single day, you will have a good life. If you do the wrong thing every single day, you will have a bad life. Now, why do I mention this? Because you need to begin instilling small little habits into your life that are going to make your life shift in a way that is smooth. You don't want to just cold turkey cut everything that you've been doing instantly and change. Why? Because there's not a positive experience attached to that lifestyle change. The lifestyle change needs to be experiential. You need to experience what it's like to go from peasant to king, not this idea of, oh, well, you know what? I am just going to neglect everything that I was doing, quit my job tomorrow, start working online, start going to the gym, start reading 50 books a month. I don't know, something crazy. A lot of people do this. They have these sprints that are 60, 90 days, and then they do what? Burn out. A real winner, he doesn't burn out. Why? Because he plays the long game. He plays the marathon. The reason I wanted to make this video is because I need to talk to you guys about the marathon. Capital Club is a marathon. We're building the largest decentralized entrepreneurial network, and that means that I'm going to be doing this for a very, very long time. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what I enjoy. It's where I find great satisfaction, which is really interesting that I have the pleasure to say that. You know, most people enjoy and make a living through work, and being able to add a cherry on top with the fact that you get to find purpose in what you do is extremely beautiful. But you can do it as well. It's not just limited to me. Anyways, consistency compounds, ladies and gentlemen. Please take note of this. So what are the small habits that you can start instilling into your life on a regular basis? They're going to start shifting your life in a way that is noticeably better. You don't just want to change your life and be like, this is shit, this is hard, this is difficult. No, you want to transition into it and be like, whoa, this is a better life. Very simple stuff. Now people will be like, dude, what does this have to do with money? What does this have to do with building a business? Because you are the business. What you're building outside is an organization. You are the business, right? You are the business. How you are operating, how you are functioning is going to determine how everything else operates and functions, especially if you're in control. So a few things that I like to instill that help me consistently win on a day-to-day basis without fail. Simple shit. Before I eat any meal, I do 50 push-ups. Oh, why? Well, because if I look good, I'm going to close more deals. If I look good, I'm going to be more respected. If I look good, I'm going to have better first impressions. If I look good, all those things are going to make me more money. All those things are going to make my business better. 15 minutes of walking after every meal. So before every meal, right? Very straightforward. 50 push-ups. You earn that meal. After every meal, to walk it off, 15 minutes. Right? Walk around the neighborhood, blah, 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 stretch, back into action. Very straightforward, very simple. Another one I love to do, 20 minutes of stretching before you go to bed. 20 minutes of stretching. Stretch your hip flexors, stretch your spinal cord, which is what? The highway of connection in your entire body. The entire electric circuit runs through your spinal cord. You don't stretch it, you don't move, you don't exercise it, you feel stiff, you have lower back pain, and you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, and you think that that's normal. That's not normal. That's bullshit. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, ladies and gentlemen, consistency compounding, it's every area of life. I'm redefining this entire fucking thing. This is an entrepreneur thing. Dude, I'm redefining the entire thing. All of it, from scratch. All of it. Why not? Watch me. Business is just an aspect of the entrepreneurial life, just an aspect of it. But unless you have physical freedom as well, then location freedom and financial freedom doesn't matter because you can't enjoy it. Another thing that I really like to do on a regular basis is read 100 pages a day. Now, 100 pages a day may take you 90 minutes, may take you 2 hours if you're not a very fast reader, but it doesn't take you more than 7 to 8% of your day. Why would you not be allocating 5 to 7 to 8% of your day to scour through all the information of billionaires, successful people, people that have built trillion-dollar companies? Take that information, digest it, see how it can elevate you in spirit and in consciousness and equip you to become a better entrepreneur and businessman. So I spend every day reading 100 pages. After 3 days, that's 300 pages. So I'm reading one book every 3 days. Think about that. That's almost 100, if not 100 books plus a year that I'm reading because I take some time off when I'm traveling. But if you do this for a decade, dude, how many books have you read in the last decade? How many people do you think have read a book in the last decade? Nobody's reading, dude. They're all dumb fucks. Call it what it is. Uneducated. It is what it is. You would have 1,000 books under your belt. On what, 10 different topics? That's 100 books a pop? Dude, you're a fucking genius on the topic. Call it what you want. Consistency compounds, right? But people want to become experts overnight. They don't want to be seasoned into development. They don't want to grow. They want to just be there. And as we know, the story of the bamboo. Bamboo spends its growth time under the dirt, 5 to 7 years under the dirt. And then within a couple weeks, it shoots up meters and meters into the sky. And people are like, whoa, bamboo grows so fast. No, it didn't. It took years. You just couldn't see it. So when you see growth and you see wins, it comes from consistently compounding wins. Consistently compounding wins. Another thing that I like to do because I value my time and the importance of my time is I limit all of my calls to less than 20 minutes. There's no reason why a phone call, a business meeting should extend to more than 20 minutes. There's no reason whatsoever. My time is too valuable. If it cannot be done in 20 minutes, then it can be handled by another individual who has more time, because your job is not only to unlock health freedom, but time freedom. And that time freedom means that you no longer do things that you can pay people to do for you. And it's that you need to unlock. It's extremely important. So the consistency comes from compounding on your time. To save your time, it must be compounded through along an extended period of time. So by saving the extra 30 minutes on a phone call, ranting about some nonsense or recapping, do it in 20. And after the end of a year, you will save so much time that you could have reinvested into literally anything else. And finally, my last consistency compounds tip or day-to-day actionable that I do is I spend time writing my goals every single day. Day by day, I crystallize my goals. So what do I want to do today, right? I know things that I want to do every single day, right? So what do I want to do today that I can count on and bank on? What do I want to do every single month? And what do I want to do every single year? So it's in those categories that I'm going to start creating micro and macro cycles and micro and macro habits. Now, these things are gapped and they're not rigid by the hour. People build these crazy life schedules and you go from operating like a machine on autopilot to operating a machine because you choose to, which makes no fucking sense. You need to be able to experience life. And in the consistency and in the compounding effect is where you're going to see a lot of growth and where you're going to see a lot of winning and where you're going to see a lot of satisfaction. You're going to avoid all the bullshit anxiety that comes from feeling like you have to be somewhere at some point in your career, at some point in your business. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, consistency compounds. Consistency compounds. Focus on what you need to do today well, and then tomorrow will take care of itself. Sounds good? Environment reprogramming. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most crucial aspects of your entrepreneurial career and your business endeavors is your environment. What is your environment conditioning you to become? Now, you are a byproduct of your environment, whether you like it or not, because you are an accumulation of the things and the energy and the people around you. This is known. That's why birds of the same feather flock together. We know this to be a principle because energy, right, of the same kind usually attracts, and energy of the different kind usually repels. So the environment that you're in is most likely having a massive impact on the decisions of your life, the quality of your life, and the type of information that you're allowing to enter into your head and that you're believing to be true. When I was poor and I wanted to get out of the rat race and I wanted to get out of the bullshit, my family, right, they would say, no, that's not a realistic dream. Oh, you shouldn't go into sales because you don't have a guarantee that that's a way for you to make money. Go get a job washing dishes at a fast food restaurant. Like, that was their advice. Truly, that was their advice. That was the environment that I was in. That was the environment that was conditioning me on a certain life path. And it was from that environment that I had to not only deprogram, say, hey, this is bullshit, but reprogram. Now, what is the environment that I want to have? So let me ask you, what are the type of friends that you're surrounding yourself with? What are the people that are around you? What are they saying when you're presenting your dreams and your ambitions? We say this common quote of never share your big dreams to small-minded people because they can kill them. Well, share your dreams to big-minded people, but go find those big-minded people because it's important to collaborate and to share this information, how you're growing, how you're propelling yourself, so you can bounce back information, because in the multitude of counsel, there is wisdom. The question is, what is the type of counsel that you're getting, and is your environment going to give you the best one? If the answer is no, then you need to change it. If that means instead of working at your house, you go work at a WeWorks place, or you go and work at a coffee shop, or you go and work at the library, so be it. Create an ecosystem and control the environment around you. If you work at an office, what does it look like? What type of lights do you have? Do you have fluorescent lights? Do you have a crazy little cubicle? Does your boss tell you that you have to clock in extra hours in an unpaid way, and that doesn't allow you to work on side hustles and you're always focused and consumed on work? That's not healthy as well, right? You need to be able to develop yourself in different areas. So ladies and gentlemen, environment, extremely important. Not only the negative side, but also the draining side, which is there are environments that, yeah, you may be learning a ton of stuff, but they're not allowing you to get to the next level because it requires a certain amount of energy, and you're expending that energy capped, limited, working for somebody else or doing something that isn't your fullest potential. So it's not only a negative environment that pushes you from your fullest potential, but it's also a draining environment that you're just using your energy and your resources and giving it to another person instead of maximizing it for yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, please focus on your environment. What does your environment look like? Because if it's not adding, it's subtracting. There is no net neutral here. Once I realized this principle, I got rid of all of my friends. I unfortunately had to stop talking to some family members. It's the name of the game, it's a sacrifice, because what you can't be doing is stooping down to people's level in order for you to have a relationship with them, right? They need to elevate. If not, you're always coming back down. And this idea of a dog coming back and eating its own barf sounds so ludicrous, yet we do it so many times. We go back to the same bullshit lifestyle that we wanted to get out of in the first place. And we do that because we enjoy familiarity. Things that we're familiar with, they tend to bring comfort. But comfort, we know, is the enemy. So you need to shy away from the known and become an embracer of the unknown. That which you know, I don't want to do that anymore. That which you don't know, let me experience life. Let me not take another person's word for it. Let me go and try it out myself. Let me go through my entrepreneurial journey, my endeavors, and understand, ladies and gentlemen, that there's nothing to lose. What do you have to lose, honestly? If you have a shit life, what do you have to lose? Nothing. Nothing. If you have a shit family member that's super negative and they don't want you to pursue your dreams, fuck them, dude. Honestly, fuck that person. It's the name of the game. The fact that I have to put this behind a paywall to tell you guys this tells you how the system is so fucked up, that one of the biggest issues in entrepreneurship is the environment of people. It's not whether they have work ethic, whether they have a good business model, is that the shit that's going on around them isn't allowing them to level up. Hence why I have to do this myself. I have to create a digital environment for you. You have the digital environment, but now, ladies and gentlemen, please protect the physical environment. Are you exercising? Where are you eating? What are you listening to? Are there Wi-Fi towers around your house? Who are the people that are in your house that you're rooming with, that you're living with? Like, what's the type of food, alcohol, drinks that are in your house? That environment, guys, is either going to help you become a winner or a loser. You may think it's not important for the entrepreneurial journey, but dude, it is extremely important. It's so important that if forgotten, you become an unsuccessful entrepreneur. You may have everything else in check, but people will look at you with pity. And the people that have a lot of money and have nothing else are often looked at as very poor. And you do not want to end up that way. Your environment is key. Protect it. It's your energy. It's your sanctuary. It's your temple. Protect it. Nurture it and use it to achieve your fullest potential. Reprogram the environment by being a decider of what you want your six senses to experience, right? When you enter a room, how do you want it to smell? Clean, dirty, fresh air, full of aerosols and bleach? Or do you want it to be healthy and clean? When you enter a room with your eyes, do you want it to be all dirty? Or do you want it to be clean, full of plants, oxygenated, full of natural light? In your opinion, thinking that working outside of these conditions is fine, but when you operate inside these conditions, you realize that it's optimal. Optimal for what? A full life, a properly developed life, a life that is in harmony and in balance. So build the right environment, ladies and gentlemen. Build it with purpose, build it with intention, and get serious. See you guys in the next video. Ladies and gentlemen, you've often heard people say time is money. But the question is, how much money? $7.25 an hour? $10,000 an hour? If time is money, how much of it? The reason I ask this, and the reason it's extremely important for you to understand, especially as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, is you need to be able to know what your hour is worth. What is your time worth? I had recently sat down with an entrepreneur. I think he was about 22 or 23. He'd done about 10 grand profit that month, right? And he came to me, he was like, dude, I'm super happy. I made $10,000 this month. It was a great time. It was a great experience, but I feel super drained. I'm like, why are you drained? Dude, because I was working so hard. I had to pull all-nighters. I had supply chain issues. I had so many problems come in, and I had to spend so much time working. I was like, well, what do you mean so much time working? You only made 10 grand. He's like, yeah, but I had all these issues that I had to solve, all of these things that I had to fix, and then I had something with my supply chain that had a big complication, and I need to get involved. That's because, of course, didn't have a fulfillment manager, which is the entire point of this video, is he was focused on low ROI tasks. Therefore, the ROI was low. And once you understand that you need to be able to onboard people into your organization, to be able to off-source certain workload that is not ROI positive, is when you begin to move like a boss. And that's the point of this video, is if time is money, how much money is that time worth? Nobody's asking that question, but I am. My time is worth $10,000 an hour because that's what people pay me for a coaching call. Now it fluctuates between 10 to 20,000, but that's what people pay me. So that's how much I'm willing to sell my hour for. 1, 2, when you calculate how much I work for every single day and then how much money I make on a yearly basis, I make a lot of money. So how is it that somebody can work more hours than me, work harder than me, and produce a lot less? The big difference is that they are in a situation whereby they are focusing their work and their hours on low ROI tasks. Usually these tasks are tasks that are low friction, that they enjoy doing, that don't involve some sort of conflict or a big growth factor required. For example, selling. Going out and doing sales is not an easy thing. It's quite difficult. It plays quite a heavy toll on your psyche. And I would like to believe that I'm a mentally strong individual. And when I was doing door-to-door sales, which I did, like that shit's pretty ruthless. So you need to develop yourself in a way whereby you face uncomfortable situations and you do things that are uncomfortable. This is extremely important. And once you begin to do that, now you enter a situation whereby you only do things that are ROI positive. Why do you want to do things that are only ROI positive or that have maximum return attached to it? Well, the reason you want to do something that has maximum return attached to it is because you value your time. If you're intelligent, you will begin to hire people to do things that you don't want to do or that you shouldn't be doing or that you don't need to be doing. Now, let's say you work a 9-to-5, which is pretty fair if you want to work a 9-to-5 in your entrepreneurial job because you want to balance it out with other areas of your life. Let's say you work 40 hours a week and you work 50 weeks out of the year, right? If you break down how much you'd be making per hour, that is $500. $500 per hour if you were to work a 40-hour work week for 50 weeks in a year, right? Do the math, that sounds about correct. So the question is, at $500 an hour, should you be washing dishes? If your time's worth $500 an hour, right, should you be answering bullshit emails or booking your own flight? I was sitting with a high-level entrepreneur, made about $2.5 million, $3 million last year. And we're sitting on the yacht, and he's booking his flight. He was gonna go do some sort of business meeting somewhere. And I look at him and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm booking my flight. I was like, what do you mean you're booking your flight? He's like, oh yeah, it only takes 2 minutes. I'm like, okay. Do you understand? Because he could have just hired somebody and sent a text message, hey, I'm going from here to here. I wanna leave on this date in the morning. Here's a photo of my passport, it gets booked. Right? Why can't you have somebody do that for you to liberate what I call mental real estate? You liberate mental real estate, and now you're in a situation where you can use that mental real estate to have high yield returns. People talk about physical real estate, but they don't talk about mental real estate and the importance of cultivating the mental real estate to getting what I like to call mental ROI. People talk about physical ROI and cash ROI that comes from physical real estate, but they never talk about the ROI that comes from understanding how to build your mental real estate and how to declutter all the bullshit that is inside of it. So ladies and gentlemen, please be extremely conscientious of this and figure out what is your time worth. So if you want to make $1 million a year and your hour's worth $500, then you're not going to do any task that is worth less than $500. Find somebody to do it or don't do it. Now, I'm not talking to the people that have no money. I'm talking to the people that want to get to next level in business, to their next level as an entrepreneur. People that already have something going, but need to scale. In order to do that, you need to understand systems and operations. We teach this inside Capital Club, how to build a 9-figure business, because we've done that. Obviously, one of my co-founders, Steve Tan, has built an organization with over 1,500 employees, $100 million a year in e-commerce, absolute savage. So we understand how the name of the game is dictated. And we understand how the rules are made. And we understand who calls the shots. And it's usually the person that is doing all the thinking. John D. Rockefeller said, "He who works all the time has no time to make money." What did he mean by this? Is that the person that is occupied their entire time focused on labor, which is not a bad thing, but if your entire time is focused on labor, thinking that that's the solution to money and to wealth creation, they don't understand what money is, right? Or how it's created, or how it's multiplied, or how it's even preserved. So you need to be the person that exchanges money for time instead of time for money. Right now, a lot of you guys are moving like hustlers and you're not moving like bosses. To move like a boss, you need to first be in a situation where you're not doing all these bullshit, meaningless, small, petty tasks that could be offshored and offboarded to your employees, right? If you want to build an army, you got to start building an army. It's the name of the game. Nobody's going to go out and hire for you. Go build some generals, go build your C-level org, go hire a project manager. And obviously inside Capital Club, we be teaching you guys how to build a full stack team from head to toe, which is pretty fucking sick. So I wanted to bring this video to you guys because I think it was extremely important. Figure out how much your hour's worth right now. How much are you working? How much are you making? Figure out that number and ask yourself, how do I make that number bigger? And the way you're going to do it is by not doing anything in that time that you free up, but by inserting tasks that are high ROI tasks and offsourcing the bullshit, meaningless little things that are in the game. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, time is money, but just make sure that it's worth a lot more than it currently is today. I get hundreds of DMs every single day, whether it's on IG, whether it's on Twitter, of people inquiring about stuff, business opportunities, ventures, funding, just wanting to talk, meeting up. So many DMs. And I only have a small fraction of the followers that most people do, especially knowing that there's massively prominent entrepreneurs or people that you might want to get into the room with that have a big wall of noise every single day that you have to get through. That is everybody else. So how do you network with millionaires? How do you position yourself in a situation that millionaires want to hang out with you? Not that you're just there in the room. You don't want to be the guy that knows the guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that knows this person or, oh, your homies, or one day you went to a party and this person was there. No. If you can't ring somebody up and that person can wire you 100 racks without a signature, then they're not your homie, like they're not your people. How do you network with millionaires? How do you network with ultra successful individuals and put yourself in a situation where you can do that? Because it's possible, guys. It's extremely possible. That's how all these smart kids that come from Ivy League schools get funded in their startups. Do you think that funding comes from nowhere? No, it comes from people that trust these individuals. There's trust that's instilled. What's that trust? What's that process? An extremely important part to consider is the academic side, which, you know, as much as I shit on university, if you have a Harvard degree, you have access to a plethora of alumni that'll give you access to a potential job a lot faster than if you weren't part of that university, because you have that common ground. I know I shit on university, but if you are in an Ivy League school, that is a big dub. Regardless of it being valuable or not, that alone I think will be ROI positive, right? So let's say I go to Harvard, I spend $200K, whether I learn something or not, I think I can maximize the word Harvard on my resume for more than $200K in my lifetime. So that's how I would evaluate that. Now, would I evaluate it over a 3-4 year lifespan commitment of giving up that time? No, but I could maximize it by networking, leveling up. The whole point is, you kind of have this side of the perspective. On the other side of the coin, if you want to network with millionaires and you don't have an environmental setup that kind of gives you a layup of prestige, you have to be able to provide value. Providing value in the marketplace is how you get paid. Providing value to an individual is how you build relationships. Because all business is a multiplication of what? The individual interaction. So people think that an unsuccessful business is the business that has one customer. But if I have a business, right, and it has one happy customer, I have a successful business. Why? Because I am transacting with that individual. You may call it a small business. You may say I'm a contractor, I'm a seller. No, but I'm in business. I am operating a business. I'm operating a transaction. All that a big business is that same thing happening at a macro scale. Make sense? So once you kind of zoom that out, you understand, okay, how would I get a job or how would I provide value to a company? And you would pitch the company based off of the company's perspective. Now just bring it down to its most basic common denominator. Instead of looking at the macro relationships, all the relationships happening at once under the name of this company and this logo, bring it down to the individual unit. I know this is a mind fuck. I know it's super good sauce. So hear me out. So break it down to the micro level, and the same thing you would do at a bigger level, like you would analyze the P&Ls of a company, you would analyze the strengths and weaknesses, the culture, the messaging, the executive board, the decision makers, the history of this company. You can do the exact same thing with an individual, right? You can reverse engineer a person's life to know who they are, what they like, what they're about, and to become presently aware of your interactions with them or what they say or how they move, to be able to understand the nature of who they are. That is how you build rapport. That is how you build credibility in relationships, is becoming aware of what a person is, who a person is, and actually giving a fuck. When you actually care about your customers, right, and that gets translated and transmuted into more customers because there's word of mouth of, hey, this is good business, right? All you're doing is you're leveraging a multiplication of that same relationship that you're having with an individual unit, but you're just multiplicating at a big level. And what you need to be able to do at a networking level is to break that down and have the same conversation that you would, but not to perceive it as an ROI kind of relationship, but to perceive it as, how can I serve this person? How can I be of value to this person? How can me being in this room with this person make this person's life better? That's the same conversation you should be having at the macro level in your company, right? You can be having that at a micro level in the networking space. I know nobody talks like this and nobody mentions these principles in this way, but you can start extrapolating a lot of things that are happening at a macro level into a micro level. I think that when I realized this, I was able to get into the room with people that were significantly wealthier, better off, more successful, better positioned than I was. That's how I got into the room with billionaires. That's how I got into the room and doing business with people worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's how I was able to sit down in rooms that have prestigious individuals that people would pay a lot of money to sit down with. You know, there's people that I've sat down with, had the pleasure of conversing, having a meal with, that will charge you $100,000 for a keynote. But because you position yourself and you provide value, not to the status or the name, but to the human, the individual, the person that is there. If you start seeing your business in that way, right? We call it humane. It's this idea of being conscientious. Then you're operating in a very good dynamic. Spot the needs that people have. If you guys see me on IG, on Twitter, if you guys are perspicacious and had the ability to perceive my needs, you would be able to reach out to me in a way, not, oh, hey, Luke, I'll work for you for free. Dude, do you think rich people need you to work for free? They can just hire the best talent. I've said this before, right? So doing stuff for free is not good enough. You have to be the best, right? You have to be the best. It's extremely important that you're the best. And not only that, it's that you provide a value that's tailored to them. And it's not just identifying a value, ladies and gentlemen, but it's also being able to create a value if you're not able to identify one. So Naval Ravikant often talks about the greatest way to make money is to give the world something that it yet not knows it needs. That's how you disturb a market. If you want to disturb a relationship and turn it on its head and really build something crazy, you must be able to do the exact same thing. It's extremely important. And once you understand that, you can introduce a new value proposition into the psyche of an individual that they may not be aware of because they don't know. Then it becomes a very, very fun game. I'll give you an example. We were sitting with a buddy of ours, and he wanted to introduce us to a billionaire. We started conversing about money, whatever, was nonchalant, conversations about business, conversations about, I think we were talking about shipping lines that were taking place in India and China, shipping routes, just boring business conversation. And, you know, as we were about to leave, it was nothing eventful. There was no, oh, hey, let's meet up again. But then we started talking about health. And then Nate was there, and we started talking about Mr. Belmar, for those that don't know him. And we started talking about biohacking and being able to increase lifespan, longevity, and the amount of years that you live. And that the billionaire's face just lit up, and he's like, bro, let's meet up tomorrow for dinner, And let's talk about lifespan longevity. Like, I'm super curious about this stuff. So we're able to identify what actually matters to this guy. He doesn't give a fuck about the money. He doesn't care about business, shipping, freight lines, all this stuff he has to deal with when he wakes up in the morning. The dude wants to figure out, how can I enjoy more years of my life with all the bullshit hard work that I've already put in to make all this money? How do I get to enjoy it more? Oh, well, this dude can tell me and show me how to increase my lifespan, or I'm curious enough to sit down and listen to this guy because clearly he may know what he's talking about because he's shredded or he's fit or he's flexible, right? Because on to the next video, perception is key, right? So the clues that you leave in the environment that you set up is extremely important for networking, but we'll get to perception is key on the next video. You need to be in a situation like we were in, that you're a jack of all trades in a way that you can provide value to people and get into the room. So we set up dinner and now we're just talking, right? And now we talk on a regular basis, we communicate, we send workout videos, we've gotten together, we've worked out, we've had a couple meals, and that's how you build relationships, right? You build relationships when you can provide value. Not every relationship needs to be fucking transactional. Not every value point needs to be a business value point. And when you understand that, that's when things get really, really fun. That's when things become beyond business, and that's how I think you build a good business. And when I think relationship transcends just a contractual interaction, it can actually flourish into something that it's meant to be, something meaningful. So if you want to network with people, study them, evaluate them, analyze them like markets, be able to provide value in a spot that they're weak in, that you excel in, or create a value proposal to a problem that they may not yet know that they need, and solve that. That's how you get paid big bucks. And make sure that you treat at a macro level, right, the interactions that are taking place in business, be able to dissect that at a micro level to interact with the individual unit. This is how you begin to understand the ethos of people and what makes people tick. This is what gets you into the room with people that are brackets ahead of you. So now let's talk about how perception is key, because the question is, now if you can provide value and get into the room, what happens next? So now that you get into the room with people that are of status, and now that you are starting to network with people that maybe a couple brackets ahead of you, the question is, what is the perception that they have of you? Do they have a perception that is positive, negative, or do they have a perception that is controlled or influenced in any way, shape, or form by how you behave or how you conduct yourself or how you speak or how you dress, right? All these things convey a message. They are forms of communication, and it is those forms of communication that you need to master. You need to master the forms of communication that transcend the spoken word. Spoken word is extremely important, but it is not the only form of communication. So let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, how would you like to be perceived? How would you like people to see you, right? When people look at you, what do they see? Write that down. Like, what do people see when they look at you? What do you see when you look at yourself? Now, the question is, depending on your goals, what do you want people to see? Now that you know what you want people to see, the question is not how do I pretend to become that? That's the bullshit way. No, it's how do I make a plan that gets me from here to here? Not how do I shortcut and pretend to be this guy? How do I go to become this person that I know will become ROI positive? I'll give you guys a little story. I was sitting down with a guy that was pitching me an idea. He was pitching me an idea for a sales company that had to do a lot with face-to-face interactions. I spoke to him on the phone as he showed me the potential numbers. I got excited. I was like, bro, this could be a really good opportunity. So this guy was about to get a $2 million check, right? He was 2.2 million, something like that. And I ended up being in a situation where I was like, you know what? Let's meet for dinner. We meet for dinner, and here comes in this guy dressed with this super cheap suit. And when we sit down, he has long fingernails and dirt under his fingernails. Automatically, that's all I'm focused on. I'm focused on this dude that's asking me for $2 million, that is dressed like a bum, that has dirt underneath his fingernails. And yeah, 1 in a million, it could be a super genius that happens to be autistic and, I don't know, it can put you on the moon. Most times they're just frauds or gimmicks or people that really don't understand the name of the game and maybe potentially not worth it. Now, why do I convey that? Because he conveyed that message to me. I didn't make that assumption, right? He made me make that assumption based off of the information that he gave me. I could have easily perceived it, right? Culturally, mentally, whatever, in a different way, superficially in a different way. But I perceived it the way that I perceived it, period, right? Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. But you have the ability, right, to in some way, shape, or form, control how you want people to look at you. It's extremely important. So when you enter these rooms with these people that you want to network with, right, that you want to position yourself with, one, do not be like them, right? Do not be like the people that are around you. What do I mean, like the people around you? Don't wear the same shit that people wear. Don't talk the same way that people talk. Don't think the same way that people think. Have your own thoughts. Do not go in the direction of the crowd, but stand apart, set yourself apart, and that will attract people to you, right? This idea of magnetism and not chasing. So position yourself in a way that you are open and attracting people to converse with you, to dialogue with you. Everybody's on their fucking phone, always 24/7, enclosed right here, right? Nobody can converse with you. So how you position yourself, how you move, how you interact, it's extremely important. It's very, very valuable. How you dress, how you look, how you smell, how people perceive you when they look at you is extremely important. And if you don't think that all these things influence how much money you make, then you're extremely wrong. If you think that a good-looking girl that is really, really nice has a equal chance at getting a job raise than an ugly girl that isn't taken care of and has a really bad attitude, then you're mistaken. A pretty girl with a really good attitude, good job performance will outwork a ugly girl, right? And out-earn and potentially have a higher stake at the table of debate, right? And at the table of negotiation, because they have more things working towards them, because people see all of these things as value adds. If you don't think a good-looking person is a plus to your organization, then you're sadly mistaken. It is, especially if you have door-to-door sales, especially if you have sales reps. Why do you think all these pharma companies hire pretty blonde girls to go out and sell pharmaceuticals for them? Because the girls can sell. Because that's the dudes the guys are willing to sit down and listen to for 20 minutes rant about some bullshit pill. So it's not that I'm talking out of my ass here. Like, people are really using these tactics in real life because they understand that it works. But if you were to send a dude to the office, right, and he was dressed like a bum, trying to sell you some bullshit pills, the dude wouldn't give you 2 minutes, right? And that's the name of the game. So yeah, it may be superficial, but we live in a superficial realm. We right now are wearing this carcass, and how you equip the video game character, is extremely important. And if you don't think that it's important, then you don't understand the name of the game. It's not about identifying yourself with these things, right? And finding pride in these things or your identity in these things, but it's utilizing the things that the video game has to level up. That's why you buy a timepiece, right? Like, the reason you buy a Rolex isn't because, well, it's a beautiful piece, bro. But you don't just buy it because you just buy it. There's a lot of value points that are attached to it that I think are intrinsic, and it's these value points that you're purchasing, right? So if I'm trying to perceive something or I'm trying to showcase something, right, would it be more valuable for me to showcase it on my wrist in the form of a watch that people know has some form of success attached to it, or secretly hidden in the bank account? Well, obviously, this helps with whatever perception I'm trying to create. If I'm trying to create a perception of success or of status, or that I've rewarded myself for something nice, then I will wear the watch. But that which cannot be seen counts for nothing. You know, one time I saw somebody that was wearing a really nice suit and wasn't wearing any timepieces and was wearing ugly shoes. And it made me wonder if he rented the suit out. That was it. There was nothing attached to it. There was no like, oh, I won't do or I will do business with you, none of these things, or I won't have a conversation with you. That was just a thought that I had. Now imagine the dude walks in super fitted, looking like $1 million, he's gonna get a compliment from me. I'll be like, dude, this guy looks sharp. And it might catch my attention in a different way, the same way you would have a situation where somebody's extremely intelligent and codes a program in a more organized fashion, in a faster fashion than somebody else, right? The preparation has taken place, and that preparation of perception is extremely important. So how are you perceived? How are people looking at you once you enter these rooms? Understand, evaluate, dictate that which you want to be, and don't pretend to become it, right? People are like, fake it to make it. No, become it. Become it. And once you become it, then you open up your mouth and begin to provide value in the marketplace. Sometimes you just have to lock yourself up in the dojo and recreate the character, right? And of course, making money is a very big value point and value add in this entire equation, because in order to level up your character, in order to take care of yourself, it requires money. So that's why we're here, to make sure that this is a wealth of information that is well-rounded, not just focused on money and things like that, but that it's an encompassing focus on how life should be perceived, or a different perspective as to how I've taken certain principles and allowed them to utilize natural law to make really good decisions in my life that have resulted in me becoming a multimillionaire. And one of these keys was being honest with how the world works, being honest with the fact that the physical representation matters, and that you should be able to control the physical representation of how you look, how you present yourself to people, and that could be a very intelligent business play. Take it into consideration, take it into account, continue to level up, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Now, this idea of entrepreneurship is based on this principle of building the life that you want in such a way where you can enjoy it. Now, most people are continuously working, or they're continuously focused on the next thing, that which they accomplished, or that which they dreamed of to accomplish, when they accomplish it, they can no longer enjoy it because they do not live in the present moment. I've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs that on the first hand live a life of anxiety. So I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the life of anxiety that entrepreneurs live, why I think it takes place, and how to mitigate it. So if you're an entrepreneur that struggles with anxiety, please listen up. This video is for you. If you're an entrepreneur that struggles with depression, listen up as well. So most people that are focused on the future are focused on things that are, one, imaginary, two, are focused on things that they cannot control, and three, are conjuring up most likely negative future outcomes of the world based off of all the negative bombarding and programming that's around you. Think about most of the content that you're consuming every single day. Oh, the banks are fucking falling. Oh, there's bombs falling from the sky. Money's worthless. Inflation through the roof. Like, that's what you're fed all day, every single day. So that's the basis of information that you have. Now, if the basis of information that you have is completely based on blood, right? Blood in the markets, blood through wars, blood through slavery, blood through exploitation. You're always focused on all this negative input. The perception that you're going to have of the world is going to be based off of that. And it's extremely troubling, because if you spend any time on social media or any time on the For You page, you're going to realize that a lot of this content kind of starts becoming that. It starts becoming a little bit more obscure, and it can get a little bit ridiculous. So you have to be extremely careful with that. So if you're building a future in your mind that is conjured up based on all these negative factors, your future outcome is most likely going to be what? Negative. So you'd be obviously living in anxiety because the world's collapsing, like it's been collapsing since forever, right? All of the things that are collapsing is your dependence on systematic infrastructure. But if you're outside of the system, and you can be in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through being off-grid, or understanding how monetary suppliers, or diversification, or being able to move in through various asset classes in the liquid format, or being able to have cash flow that pays you on a monthly basis regardless of economic conditions, these things kind of help. But if you're in a situation where you're always focused on the future, then you're going to be anxious. Why? Well, because you're focused on a future that is negative, and it's a future that you cannot control. That makes your present very difficult to deal with. Now, on the other hand, you have the other spectrum of the entrepreneurs, and these are the entrepreneurs that are depressed. These are the entrepreneurs that can't get over their L's. They can't get over their losses. The traders that take a bad trade and they sit in bed for a week or a month instead of going back into the books and figuring out, why did I do what I did? How do I not do it again? Right? So a lot of people live in the past and they are depressed. Why? Because they cannot change the past. So the people in the future are anxious for a future that's about to come, and they're anxious because they can't control what's about to come, because they do not feel in control. And I will teach you how to feel in control in just a second. Then you have the people living in the past. They are depressed because at the present moment, they cannot control the past, right? So they're living in a state of depression because they are in a state of repression. They cannot let go of all these bottled feelings, emotions, and memories that haunt them. And you need to be able to let go of all of that stuff and be in the present moment in order to maximize the output and efficiency that you have. Let me explain. When you are, let's say, playing a sport and you are a top level athlete, it's extremely important to understand the amount of focus and level-headedness that it takes to be in the present moment. To be in the present moment is required in order to succeed, in order to win, in order to beat your opponent. In business, you're going to have opponents, and your ability to be present-minded and your ability to be balanced is going to keep you from losing. It's going to keep you from slipping. It's going to keep you from messing up. Why? Because you're going to be aware, you're going to be present, you're going to be careful, you're going to be cautious. If you're living in the past, you're depressed. You're not focused in the present moment. Why? Because your attention is over there. You're giving energy and time to something that's dead. Then in the future, you're focused and giving attention to things that are focused on the output and things that you cannot control, whereby you should be focusing on the input. The input, right, is the things that you can focus on the regular basis, and that is the things of the present moment. So at the present moment, what can you do right now to guarantee an increase in potential outcome of the future? You cannot guarantee it, but you can play odds. So you know that if you exercise 300 days out of the year, right, you're going to have a better body, a healthier physique, and a healthier body than if you didn't work out 300 days out of the year. If you eat healthy 342 days out of the year, as opposed to eating McDonald's 342 days out of the year, you're going to have a different outcome. There are variables in that spectrum of the outcome, yes, absolutely, but you can gauge a potential future. How? By living in the present moment actively with what? Integrity, with equanimity, and overall with excellence, knowing that everything that you do will have an echoing effect or a ripple effect into the future. And that's how you dissolve the anxiety, by being present and knowing that you control, in essence, the probabilities of the future, not the future, but the probabilities of the future through your actions of the present, that the past does not dictate who you are, since you can change it instantly in the present moment to then affect the future. So understand this principle. Do not be anxious. Do not be depressed. Be present, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this video again, reconsume this information, play it on repeat. Focus on the past, you'll be depressed. Focus on the future, you'll be anxious. Focus on the present, and you'll win.